Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the BATTASS Podcast, the Batman the Animated Series show podcast where we talk about Batman the Animated Series. My name's Clay McCormick, and with me, as always, is Sean Murphy. How you doing, Sean?
Man, did you notice that both of these episodes started off with conventions?
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah, there was AgroCon, which I'll get into later because I didn't know agro meant agriculture.
Sure.
I thought it meant angry.
Yep.
And the other one was a
car show. Yeah. I was going to ask you. I wanted to ask you about the Gotham car show.
But actually made me think about some stuff. There's some chit chat on social media lately about conventions and convention culture, and I think we've talked about it on and off before. But I've had some new thoughts that I wanted to share, but I figured we'd get to it later because I have a feeling one of these episodes is not going to hold our attention for very long.
Whatever do you mean? The two episodes we're doing today, positioned just after the halfway point, coming off of a really great episode, two really great episodes with Roxy Rocket and Batgirl having some scarecrow-induced nightmares. We've got two bangers, Mean Seasons and Critters. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Mean Seasons. All right, Mean Seasons, story by Rich Fogel, teleplay by Hilary J. Bader, directed by Hiroyuki Oyama. Hopefully I didn't murder that too much. And in this one, Batman pursues an ex-model who is now looking for revenge and calling herself the Calendar Girl. Coming off of the Roxy Rocket episode, where I think we spent most of the time talking about how great of a character Roxy is.
Go to this.
Not so much here. It's like, it's not terrible. I was actually, I had to look it up because I'm aware of Calendar Man, who is a pre-existing Batman villain, but I hadn't been aware of Calendar Girl. Apparently Calendar Girl is created for the show.
Yeah, they changed.
As far as I can see.
Yeah, there's no reason for her to be Calendar. There's no connection between her and Calendar Man. Like, they try to force this thing where she leaves these calendar pages, but they never explain what her deal is. Like, she could just be a jaded ex-model who wants revenge. There's nothing that the calendar bullshit gives you.
Right. And it's funny because I always thought Calendar Man was a great idea, but the name was terrible. Calendar Girl is a much better name.
Yes,
but yeah, the link to the gimmick is tenuous at best.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was the Calendar Girl package is probably like how the brand manager gets all of his holiday shit that he couldn't move, package it into one thing.
Yeah.
You roll around to December, and it's like, I couldn't move any of this Halloween stuff. But if I put it together with the 4th of July stuff and some Easter stuff, you'd be surprised how few villains want Easter-themed attire. Put all those together.
It's like going to CVS after Halloween and getting a good deal on Cadbury eggs.
Exactly. Yes.
I think that after the holiday, he puts all this shit up as aisle toppers and it's like impulse buy, and she just bought all of it at a discount. Exploding Easter eggs, fireworks coming from her fingers. Yeah. And henchmen.
I mean, it's the sure sign of a newbie, because someone comes in looking for a new gimmick, a villain gimmick, and they see the half off bin where it's like, oh, you could be a calendar person, and it works all year round.
Let me tell you something. I can sell anybody to anything to anybody. Next customer, you wait. I'm gonna sell her on everything: eggs, exploding ribbons, fireworks. Trust me. I even got some Chippendale henchmen that she's not gonna say no to.
And the outfit, solid colors, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but she used to be into fashion. Why would she wear a solid color? Never mind that.
Yeah. It's not a great design. Like the idea,
No. Yeah.
the thing about it, actually, her thing.
Yeah.
Her at the base of this, the thing, she's like the model who they think she has got a messed up face and stuff.
Yeah.
It actually reminded me a bit of the Starlet from your you and Colleen's Harley book.
Yep.
And I mean I like what you guys did with that character more than what they did with this character. But it was even there. It wasn't even like they didn't even do anything with that concept. They just used it as the button for the episode, which was kind of unsatisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, she wore this mask that it must be easy to animate because you don't need to animate her face. She's just wearing like a mime mask or whatever. And like she wears all one color, and it's not even like two tones of green. It's just the same. It's just the most unoriginal. I mean, after Roxy Rocket, they must have been like, all right, we blew through our budget. That character had like 6 colors on her. I think we're gonna need to strip it down for the next one and get a deal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You would think for like a holiday themed villain like that. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Technically, she's not even a holiday. She's got holiday gear.
Yeah.
But her gimmick is based on like the days that she got fired.
So when she circles a date on March and throws an Easter egg at you and leaves,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, so was that attack on March? And then a month goes by and she does, but then she does like a 4th of July theme, and it's not even the right month that she throws down.
Yeah. Well, there's not really a holiday in August, so you really can't. Why did they pick August? Why didn't they just put the day she gets fired in July?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
But you would think a character like this, who has a holiday themed gimmick, whose origin is that she is a former fashion model / actress, you would think she would have a holiday themed outfit.
Yeah.
For every holiday she shows up. But this one, it's just she had candy corn earrings.
There's so much potential. Yeah, there's so much potential for her character. Or she wears black all the time and her earrings change. Like, that would have been fine. At least it's more on character. But yeah, I'm stunned that, because this is even like the best animation house. This is like Ghibli Studios or whatever, I think. Like, this is such a killer animation team, and you waste the budget on a fucking nothing episode that doesn't amount to anything. Like, what a waste of talent, you know?
Yeah, and it's all there driving towards that one bit at the end. This kind of reminded me
with a dinosaur in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I completely forgot about the dinosaur. This reminded me. It felt like kind of like an inverse Baby Doll to a certain extent.
I was going to bring that up. This is a good one to compare to Baby Doll.
Yeah, which is a much better episode than this one is, because that one actually, you feel for the character, and it's not just a punchline at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I don't want to get into it too much, but I sent this article from CBR.com that had like the 10 worst Batman episodes of all time.
Oh my God, yeah.
Horrible
I've never
list.
disagreed with a list so much in my life.
Yeah, I tend to like ignore those things because it's usually just like the basics, and then the top 2 are kind of controversial just to, generate some buzz.
Yeah.
But this thing was just like, they had the Rupert Thorne, and I am on record on the show as not loving the Rupert Thorne and his brother episode.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it is like undeniably a good story being told.
Yeah.
And like that one was on this, not only was it on this list, but the breakdown was like, who wants to see a dramatic family story between 2 brothers, which honestly I don't remember. That might have been something I said in the show, but I was very surprised that one, and Baby Doll was on the list, and a couple other ones that I really was surprised.
To me, it felt like the writer was the type of idiot who was like, I want Joker in it, I want Clayface, I'm only going to accept classic style episodes. There's no desire to watch any kind of nuance. Like the one where the dad has invisible suit and he goes and stalks his daughter. Like, that for me is like a top 10 episode. I think I gave it a 5. If not, it's like a high 4. And like I could just see the person. If I had to watch it in the theater with the person, I could just see them going, boring. Give me the Joker. Like, there's no understanding of film or storytelling or risk taking. Like, yeah, I know it's a kid show, and you'd think that they would avoid doing cartoons where a scary dad is stealing his daughter or whatever, but they did it.
Yeah.
And like, not everyone has to love that episode, but you have to give them, props for even trying. And I think mostly they succeeded. And that list, there's only like 3 on there that I agreed with. And one was the terrible trio.
Yes.
Yes. One was the next episode we're going to talk about, which I actually agree with as well.
I think Prophet of Doom, was that the name of it? The one with the prophet? Yeah. I don't think...
The one with the Rat King Underground, I think, was on there.
Was that? Okay. I don't think the one where Bruce Wayne gets amnesia and ends up in the desert was on there.
You know what? I'm tempted to look it up right now. We think we would have had this prepared. If Showdown's on there, that's bullshit. I mean, the soundtrack to Showdown alone is worth it. I would have
pulled it up if I had planned to talk about it, but it just popped into my head as we were talking.
It's all right, man.
Yeah. Like I feel like if you're to get back to this episode, it's introducing a villain for the sake of introducing a villain with this like the thing at the core twist at the end is actually pretty good, if not a little bit kind of like, I don't know if cliche is the word, but
it's forced in.
Yeah, it's like, she takes the mask off. It's like, oh, she's totally fine. She's just horrified at her own appearance because she's been told, sure. Cool.
Yeah. I was watching it with my wife. She was half watching, and at the very end, she looks over. She's like, woof. Because I've only shown her the good episodes, so she has to endure watching a lot of these other episodes. She's starting to realize that it's a mixed bag, mostly good though.
And I think there's some stuff in there, like there's a lot of potential in there because
I have lots of things I like in it.
Yeah, they've got the stuff at the beginning about Lucius Fox pointing out that Bruce Wayne's getting old. He's starting to, like, that stuff is interesting, but they don't do anything with it.
That's the stuff I like. I like the guy is an employee of his is going into forced retirement, and Bruce decides to reverse that policy. And then someone makes an age joke. Batgirl makes an age joke, and he starts looking at himself in the mirror to find gray hair. Like, I remember as a kid really liking that beat because they've never really addressed age with Bruce at all. And I wish they had done more of that, honestly. Instead of her throwing calendars around and candy corns that don't really mean anything.
Even the cops don't take it seriously because they're like, we heard she left a note. Bullock's like, nah, she just left a piece of an old calendar. I don't really know what it's for.
Do you think Bullock is a secret a cousin of the brand manager?
It's very possible. Like, maybe that's why he doesn't get shaken down, is because Bullock is his distant cousin or first cousin or something.
Yeah.
Now, that's an episode where it's all about Bullock and his cousin, the brand manager, and their familial relationship and how they butt heads. Yeah. Even though, they're family.
You look terrible. I know exactly what I'd get you for a gift, Bullock. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like, Bullock is dressed exactly like a shitty, Dick Tracy. And I feel like the band manager would be like, listen, man, let me just take some pity on you. Let me at least get you a hat that fits right, I got all this stuff in the shop. I'm not going to try to do the voice because Clay does it much better. But it must kill him. Like, he must buy stuff for Bullock all the time. And like, here, it's a new hat. You can wear this one. This is in style. Trust me. Girls will like this. And Bullock's like, nah, I like the old one.
Well, I think it's probably more of like a biting family thing. So when he's talking to Harvey, he's like, hey, if you ever decide to become a bad guy, don't come to my store. We don't stock things in wide.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of Thanksgiving fight that they would have.
But it's just there's a lot of potential, but they don't really do. The robot scene is like just
out of the blue,
and like
this girl. I already am wondering where the hell she's getting these amazing exploding Easter eggs and stuff. But there's a giant fucking T-Rex robot that I didn't even know when I first saw this. I didn't know if it was a robot or not. And at the end, after it explodes, and it's taken down with a bunch of like lights
he
on
drops
a wall.
A lighting fixture
so
on
it's unclear. Like, if you're not paying attention, you might have assumed that was actually a real dinosaur covered in broken tech from the lights.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I was curious, like, is this the dinosaur that ends up in his cave?
I don't know. I don't think he ever has the dinosaur in the cave in the cartoon, does he?
Damn it. Good question.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you talk. I'll look it up.
I can't remember if he's got that stuff. I feel like maybe the penny showed up once, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't feel. I don't think that they have the T-Rex.
The cave for sure. The penny for sure. TAS dinosaur. No,
but
I'm not seeing any screenshots.
Yeah, I don't think so. We would have commented on the streamlined redesign of the Batcave T-Rex if they in this season if it had been there.
It's not in here. That's funny. Because I don't know where that. I honestly don't know where that dinosaur comes from, and I know as a Batman writer, I should. Like it's kind of a crime, but I don't know when exactly it appeared on my radar that Batman had. I knew about the penny and the card, of course.
Yeah, I feel like the penny and the dinosaur and the giant Joker card are fairly comics specific.
Yeah.
And coming off of this is obviously based on jumping off of the Burton movies, which didn't have that stuff in there. So yeah. I understand why they didn't.
So the mechanical T-Rex is a robot that first appeared when Batman fought in Murray Hart's theme park known as Dinosaur Island. This theme park should not be confused with the better-known Dinosaur Island.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't want to do that.
I don't. Okay. One of them is quotes. One of them's not. I don't understand why. Okay. And I don't know who writes these things.
No idea.
I feel like you reading these off at the beginning of each episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure
hard, isn't it?
I know. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can extend. This got to explain like the context of this thing. Oh, there's a whole bunch of versions. There's the Earth 2 version, Earth 1, New Earth. I'm not reading all this crap.
Yeah. Somehow he got a dinosaur in there.
Souvenir, Earth 2. All right, yeah, I'm not doing this. Sorry. That's as much research as I've ever done on Batman, everybody.
The listeners and I thank you for it. Yeah. But I don't really know what else there is to say. That dinosaur sequence is like it's a robot dinosaur. It's a very cartoon sequence where it's like this robot dinosaur they're using for a movie. Apparently, you just turn it on and it just knows to try and kill people. Like she's not even driving it. She basically just turns it on and leaves, and then it just automatically tries to kill Batman.
Is it? So tell me if this is nitpicky, but if it was like we've had robots in this cartoon before, androids that think they're human and they can walk on 2 feet and balance and jump and think. But that to me is acceptable. But having like a 7-story tall T-Rex robot that can like stand and move as quickly as that just doesn't seem like it fits in this universe. Am I splitting hairs here? Okay.
No, I would agree with that. Usually when this show has robots, there's some weight to them.
Yeah.
They don't tend to just like throw in robots a lot unless they are kind of integral to the plot.
Yeah.
And especially not a giant robot dinosaur. If there was a giant robot dinosaur traditionally in this show, that would be like a central plot point. But
yeah, I mean, if it moved sort of in the background slowly and was clunky, then I'd be more down with it. But it's fast. It blows through walls and it screams. I mean, it's just like that thing looks like a real dinosaur, and it just at the end happens to have circuitry in it.
It might be.
That was my problem with it.
It might be the dinosaur from the movie Tammy and the T-Rex, which has the brain of Paul Walker in it. So it's an animatronic dinosaur with the brain of a human.
Wow.
That goes out and tries to get revenge on the people that killed him.
Paul Walker.
It's Paul Walker and Denise Richards' like first movie, I think.
Wow.
It is fantastic. It is a terrible movie, but it is very much worth the watch.
If they did a Knight Rider and the voice of the kid was Paul Walker, would that be bad taste?
At this point, yes.
Okay. What if Vin Diesel was driving it? No? Okay.
Well, that might be. I said, have you seen Fast 9?
No, and I'm not going to. I'm done with those movies.
Yeah.
I know you love them because they're like Mask. I get it.
Yeah, I like them to a point. Like I didn't love Fast 9, and Hobbs and Shaw was fine. I didn't blow my socks off.
Yeah.
There's the pocket where they got really fun, 5 and 6 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But the weird thing about them is ever since Paul Walker died, he's still alive in the universe of the movie.
Oh.
And so they keep making reference to him and keep having him like just show up at the end of the movie or like off screen, so you never see him, but people talk about him. But the weird thing is, the people in the movie seem to talk about this character who is alive in the universe as though he is dead. Like there's a certain kind of, reverence and wistfulness to mentioning him and stuff.
You only use when somebody's passed on and they're using it. Yeah.
But the character's alive.
Right.
And so it's this weird sort of, even though he's not in the movie, it creates this weird uncanny valley effect where it's like you're talking about this character who's alive, but everybody knows that you're talking about a dead person.
Right.
I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah. So many ways I want to take this conversation right now. It makes me think, if I was an actor in a big franchise and I died, I'd almost want a thing in my contract that says, when I die, you will kill off my character in a glorious fashion in the next movie. You will not keep me around. You will not pretend that I'm still like, I will only do this movie. And if I unfortunately pass away, I want to know that my character died in a meaningful way. I'm giving you permission to kill off my character, because if you don't, it's just fucking weird. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just always off screen doing something.
I tell you, the other thought I had, which is unrelated with Fast 9, and I am, to most people, I am the Fast and the Furious guy of comics. And the fact that I don't love these movies is, I know it doesn't fit. They're just so out there. My reality gene is offended by the loss of understanding of physics and the crazy, you know what I'm saying, everybody.
Sure.
I'll take a grounded
you don't like
car
fun,
movie any
is
day.
what you're saying.
What's that?
You don't like fun, is what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. Just because I don't like wrestling doesn't mean I don't like fun, Clay.
Yeah, well, agree to disagree.
So I don't know what the numbers are for the movie yet, but I have a feeling Fast 9 is probably going to not do as well as the other ones, and because I feel like people are just getting fatigued with these things. And if I had the producers in a room, I would say, guys, here's what you need to do. Stop for 10 years. Just put it on the back burner for a while. Give it a break. Do like an offshoot movie if you want, but keep it low budget and grounded. Like, get back to your roots. And then in 10 years, you can do like Vin Diesel's version of Taken, where he's like retired and he has to come out of retirement. And the reason he comes out of retirement is because somebody killed his friend Paul Walker, or whatever his name is. Yeah. And then you can go all balls to the wall, just like you did with special effects. I think people just need a break first,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go back to basics, because the reason that they changed it was because back to basics wasn't working. But I don't know. At this point, maybe going back to that,
right?
It's like Kiss took off the makeup to change things up, and then they changed things up again by putting the makeup back on. So you never know. Yeah.
When I was doing Chrononauts with Mark Millar, we had James Wan, the director, attached to Chrononauts, and we had Chris Pratt, Chris Helmsworth as the leads in Chrononauts. And it was owned by Universal at the time. And I was like, awesome. Send me the check. Like, I don't care. And I was a big fan of Chris Pratt at the time, and Helmsworth, of course. And James Wan's Fast and the Furious did so well that he had to bail on Chrononauts because he was offered a ton of money to do more, which I completely understand. And that was kind of the beginning of how... that was the beginning of me realizing I have zero control over Hollywood stuff. That was like one of many things that went wrong. And then, one of the actors had a kid, and one actor got divorced, and then the president of Universal changed, and the new president dumped everything the previous president did. And it's just like, you can try to be a Hollywood, you can live out there, you can go to meetings, you can schmooze the hell out of everything, but at the end of the day, you really just can't control it. And especially me being a weird guy who works in his office in Maine, I certainly can't control these things. So that's when I sort of stopped thinking about Hollywood as a career option. It's like, I don't want to try to even pretend that I can manipulate these things and try to hold a movie together. I like comics. I can control comics. Publishing is a smaller world, but I can make a good living at it. And I don't have to fool myself into thinking that one day I'll be a multi-millionaire out in LA. I don't know. It's just not for me. And I know a lot of people in comics see comics as a stepping stone to get into Hollywood, which to me doesn't make sense. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that's always surprised me, I mean, it's like anything really, but creative projects that cost money, it's like they're all just a house of cards, and if one card comes out, then the entire thing comes down. I mean, it even happens in comics. Like, every time you'll be in the middle of a series, and then they change editors, and all of a sudden the series is gone. Or if you've been working with a company for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you don't have any editors that there anymore, well, they stop using you.
Yeah.
So it's all that stuff it's depressingly fickle, unfortunately.
Yeah. I had a meeting with some producers recently. We'll have a part 2 meeting too. And one of the Vertigo books I was involved with has got some heat, and they want to make it possibly at HBO. And, I'm excited because this writer was attached to a really big, successful other property. And I explained this to my friends in Maine, and they're not in entertainment. They're just like mechanics and people who work at Trader Joe's. So, to them, this is like really exciting stuff when I talk about it. And they're like, "That's great, man. Congratulations." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. But, you don't see me jumping up and down." And the reason is because I know, like, there's a 90% chance that it'll fall through. And it won't be my fault. Yeah. It won't be the writer's fault. It's just, it is what it is,
Yeah.
Like,
I did...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, anybody that's been in comics long enough generally has a thick skin to, like, big, exciting Hollywood news. Like, we all get jaded in a healthy way, I'd say, It's not like we're not excited to hear good news, but we're like, yeah, that's good. Great. You're going to make a movie of my stuff. Awesome. Like, I'm not going to go spend the money right now. I expect to get a check maybe in 3 years, and it probably won't be for as much as I thought. And, if I have any involvement at all, it's a miracle. There's so many stories in the comics and Hollywood that we can learn from. And the idea of, like, getting a movie done out of your property and them doing it your way is just almost completely out of the question. Like, it really doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, I had one of those meetings a couple years ago for one of the books I worked on, where we ended up talking on the phone, me and the writer, and the company that we worked for were on the phone with some producers from a production company who were going to explore turning this book into a movie. Oh. And they were actually like talking to us about the story, and they pitched us this idea about, like, so we were reading it, we really like it, we think this works, but we think this could actually happen earlier. And I was like, oh, that's actually a good change. I think you should do that.
Yeah.
It was a good note.
Yeah.
And, it was cool. It was a company I had heard of. It was not a huge company, but it was a company I'd heard of.
Yeah.
And, like, but at the same time, I was like, well, all right, cool. Let's see. Call me when the next step happens, and the next step never happens. So,
yeah, yep. I think that's a pretty healthy way to look at it.
Yeah, and with stuff like that too, like waiting for a check is a fool's errand, because it's like the deal that we had for this book. It was a creator-owned book, but the publisher had the option. Mm-hmm. But then what they did is they gave it to this production company, who was then going to work on it to give it to a third company. Yeah. And so, like, every time a new company gets involved, whatever check I might be getting gets smaller and smaller. Yeah. So the creators of the property are at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's appropriate is up for debate, I suppose. But
I don't know what's the right reaction as a creator. If you get on a big exciting meeting on Zoom or whatever, do you act more excited? Do you play it cool? Do you just be honest? Do you try to let them know they're easy to work with? Do you pretend that you don't really care what they do with the product? Do you insist that they follow your vision? I mean, you can play it a million different ways. I mean, there's tons of stories of different creators, like, Mike Mignola trying to control Hellboy, and they were like, who's this guy? Didn't we pay him not to be here? Like, we bought your shit, go away. James O'Barr trying to control The Crow. Yeah, I mean, I they wanted to change my book, my Vertigo book, a lot, and I was like, that's fine. Like, I'm one guy who wrote it 10 years ago. I did the best I could. You have a team of writers now. Please improve it. Like, I absolutely, please improve it. They wanted to change the race of a character. I'm like, great, that's not what I would have done, but I don't care. Send me the check. Like, I want to be as easy to work with possible. If you want me to be a producer, I can. If you want me to provide more concept art, I can. I want to help if my help's appreciated, but I have zero. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't expect you guys to really want my input every step of the way. I get it. Like, I get what this is. I don't mean to sound,
Right.
maybe I did sound too jaded at that time. I definitely came across as somebody who's been through the mill a few times, which maybe is a good thing. You know, like, I'm not some, green newbie who's just like, yay, I'm a millionaire. Yay. You know?
Yeah. I think those things, it's generally like they want you to be on board with them, but they don't necessarily need you to be, you know?
Yeah. And I get that. I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
You know, if I had control of someone's baby, I want the original creator's input, but if the original creator turns into a pain in the ass, I want him out of the meeting. You know, I'm sorry, I'm here to everybody. And if I'm that pain in the ass and they need to kick me out of the meeting, great. Like, that's the contract I signed, you know?
Well, I look at it from the other side too, where it's like, unless they're actively, looking for my input in a real way, I'm probably not going to give them a ton of it. And then when all is said and is done, if it's great, I'll take credit for it, and if it sucks, I'll say my book is better.
Right.
So it's a win. It's win. Yeah. It's a win-win for us. You know, you still get the check at the end of the day, and you can still claim that the book is better than the movie, and they just ruined your vision or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I would play the game. I would still do interviews and say,
"Oh, sure,
I'm excited for it. We made some changes. I'm excited about the changes." Like, remember that thing I said to you about how I'm a better liar than you, or whatever?
Sure.
And that's what I meant, was playing the game a little bit. I didn't mean like flat out lying to people, but I'll play along. You know, like, there's some stuff that's been done with my books that I wasn't a fan of. You don't really hear me complaining about it too much, unless it's like more than 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to bitch about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. I wouldn't have to fake being excited that something I did is being made into a movie, whether or not I like it or not. It's still pretty cool.
The only thing I did say to them was, if you want to know what I think you should pitch it as low budget, like really low budget. And I wouldn't worry about getting name actors. Just get people that are good. And I said, if you want to know where I think the money should be spent, I'd spend it on the soundtrack, getting the right songs, because if it's going to be a very musical based type thing, wink wink, then you might want to focus on that. But I'm pretty sure they already know that, and they don't need me to tell them.
Sure.
But yeah, they were like, "What do you think about for names for actors?" And I'm like, nobody. I honestly have no idea. Please cast it however you want, whatever. And
you should have just been like, "Can you get John Wayne just to mess with my friend Clay?"
Can you please?
And that would have been the
John
last
Wayne.
meeting you ever had.
Yeah, I got to get you an autograph of John Wayne. I'm sure you can get them out there.
Oh boy, my trash will thank you for it. So speaking of conventions, what did you think of the car convention?
I would obviously draw that if I had to draw anything. Again, I think the motorcycle, the bit with the bikes were great. I thought the concept car were pretty good. A few shots had the hood open, and I thought that for guys who don't really know a lot about engines, that the engine blocks look pretty realistic for kids' cartoon. I like when that one Chippendale bouncer gets slammed into the hood with his leg sticking out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the models that are on top, and like, it's like that Simpsons.
Oh yes.
Do you come with the car?
Come with the car? You. There was a few conventions in this, because they had the that sci-fi or the like fake Warner Brothers TV showcase thing they were doing.
Yeah.
Actually, in this season, it's not the first time they've had a convention, because the Joker's Millions episode starts with Joker at a technology convention.
Yeah, tech show. Yeah, that's right.
But I really appreciated the fake TV shows they came up with for this. They had model students, teen cop, and Malibu vets. Malibu vets is a good one, which is a bunch of bikini models who are also veterinarians, which is a great idea for a show.
I bet you could turn that into a hit.
I
don't
see why not.
Yeah.
It's like there was Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where Kristen Bell's character gets the role on like the police procedural, where she's like blind but she has psychic powers and can talk to animals or something. I forget what it is.
Yeah. Hey man, I like the movie Mean Girls. I never would have thought walking into that I would have had an ounce of a good time, and I thought it was great. So,
Yeah,
it's all in the
movie.
execution. What would you draw on this one?
Jeez, I don't know. No, I would redesign Calendar Girl. I was gonna say the dinosaur just because, like, how often do you really get to draw a dinosaur in anything?
Right.
But I would spend some time and try to redesign Calendar Girl and give her like some, if not like distinctly different outfits for whatever theme she's going for. Something like you were saying that's like easily adaptable, so it's like kind of a similar base, but like a couple different elements change depending on the season or something.
Like a Miss America sash, but the sash changes for the theme or something.
Or like big shoulder pads and Easter, they're Easter eggs, and at Halloween they're jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah. What would you rate this?
4th of July, they're fireworks coming out of her shoulders. I'm gonna give it a 2, I think.
I'm going 3 because I thought the dinosaur animation was awesome, but that's the only, and I like the idea of age, but I'm really it's barely a 3.
Actually, you know what? No, I agree. I am also a 3 because I was mixing them up in my head because spoiler alert, I like the next one a lot less, and I found myself I knew this one going into this one. You had said this one was kind of rough, and I came away going like, that wasn't terrible. It was fine. It was like a right down the middle. Yeah, it's like just a right down the middle, not really great Batman episode. So I would say it's like it's a serviceable 3, I think.
Yeah. Yep, that's fair.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for Mean Seasons. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about Critters.
Okie dokie.
All right, Critters, story by Steve Gerber, teleplay by Joe R. Lansdale, directed by Dan Reba. And in this one, a genetic engineer goes overboard in creating bigger livestock and loses all his money. A year later, an army of mutant farm animals terrorize Gotham City.
Even listening to the description is painful.
I'm not sure where to begin with this one.
It's a 1. This is terrible. I hated this as a kid. I hate it now. It's hard not to fast forward through it.
Yeah, let me see if I can get this straight, because I was trying to parse this out as I was watching it. He loses all of his money because he creates this gigantic cow-horse hybrid thing. And he looks like he's like this country bumpkin type farmer guy.
Yeah.
So he loses all of his money, becomes this outcast, but he also has a gigantic waterfront factory building that has a working farmland in it, like multiple acres of farmland in it.
Like the danger room, the X-Men's danger room, but with farmland.
As well as a silo that doubles as a rocket.
Yep. Yeah.
But he's also just like a country bumpkin. I don't know. I just couldn't parse this character out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like kind of the first on a checklist of problems, but I just was not on board.
His inexplicable bow staff skills when he's fighting Batman with a pitchfork.
Yes.
Like the fact that Batman can't just break this grandfather over his knee is a joke.
I really like that they point out that his beefy daughter was taking beef steroids.
I couldn't. I thought, like, for a second, I'm like, all right, did he genetically modify his daughter too? Like, is that why she's so fucking strong? I couldn't remember what the payoff was on that. Apparently, it's just protein.
It's one line where she just goes beef steroids and then punches Batgirl in the face or something.
Yeah, Batgirl doesn't get punched a lot because you can't have a guy punch a girl in these shows, so you got to have a girl punch a girl. So it's good to see Batgirl getting fisted in the face.
Finally, someone knocked that smile off Batgirl's face.
Yeah. She was making all these AIDS jokes in the last episode. She had it coming.
I'm not saying Batman let it happen, but he definitely wasn't there when he should have been.
At the beginning, they were at AgroCon. And I always thought aggro was slang because I listened to punk rock, and I remember Henry Rollins using the word aggro to basically short for aggressive or like crazy or whatever. So AgroCon to me was like, whoa, that sounds wild. And it was just farming equipment Wow, not what I expected.
Yeah, just a bunch of angry weightlifting dudes.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them saying, "This kids will like this because it'll have big bugs in it and big animals, and think of the toys." And it gave Batman any fucking excuse for his bat rocket pack, which I fucking hate.
Yep.
That thing just looks terrible.
The Jetpack Man in appearance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's trying to look at it a little objectively, like the big action sequence that takes up like most of the episode is fine, I guess. Like it's fun. There's giant animals and stuff, and he stops one of them by smashing it into a gigantic container of barbecue sauce.
Oh my god, I forgot about the barbecue sauce factory, the pterodactyl.
Yeah. But like even some of the explanations of stuff were a little bit like they didn't really think it through. Like the praying mantises that were designed to just like fall apart. Like they didn't even like melt or do anything interesting. They just fell apart like toys. Like the arms fell off and then the head fell off and then they all just like the limbs fell off. It was like, really strange.
I'm surprised they were able to show that violence because the arms just fall off. And I'm like, that's kind of graphic. But it is a bug. But it's a giant bug. Yeah. So it registers like wow, that must have been painful for that animal to lose a limb. You couldn't show a cow losing an arm in this show, but they show it with mantises and it was fine. Like standards and practices are like, whatever, it's a bug.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, nobody cares about bugs, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no when it first happened I thought they were robots or something because it was
why not?
Just well, like they just they fell apart like action figures.
Yeah.
And so I thought they were like fake or something. I didn't realize.
Like the crash test dummy action figures that I used to love. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you've got the giant chickens or giant birds or something, and there's the giant pig that almost kills Harvey Bullock, but kind of doesn't.
Oh, don't forget the talking goat that delivers a message.
Oh, the talking goat. Yeah.
Don't bring back.
What was going on? What was going on?
That was
in this room.
Worst thing in the entire series. That scene with the talking goat with the fucked up eyes. Yeah.
The talking goat that somehow just walks its way into
past
Gotham
the front
City Police
headquarters. Got off the elevator, got on the right floor, went into Gordon's room, just don't bring Batman.
Stops to steal Harvey Bullock's donut before walking into Commissioner Gordon's office to talk in full sentences.
You know what? The donut line was the best part of the episode, actually.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that great. It was just like, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
So if I had to, I'm straining myself trying to find something to draw.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I could think of is they use the airships in this episode. And you have this airship being attacked by these like monster pterodactyls, and there's like 3 of it on this airship pecking at it as it's like falling towards the ground. I think if I could do a cover of an airship with these giant monsters on it, just like sitting on it, I think that would be cool. Like I could see like a Paul Pope style cover, just this oddity. I think that would be pretty fun to draw. But that's all I want.
Yeah.
I don't even want to do that, honestly.
Yeah. This is a tough one for what to draw.
If this was a series, like a comic series, and we keep talking about like who we would put on different issues, I would. There's no one I hate enough in comics to give them this issue to draw. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, as I've said, that's the challenge. It's you're under more pressure to make to not screw up Heart of Ice. You're not under any pressure to not screw up the episode with the talking goat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would probably draw the talking goat sequence because it's so weird.
There you go. You know what? I respect that, Clay.
Yeah, it's so strange, and it is like, in a show that is quote unquote grounded. I'm using that fairly loosely, but like about as grounded as a show like this can be. Having a talking goat and giant mutated.
Yeah,
this episode was very Saturday morning cartoons from the 90s. Like it was Street Sharks or something.
Right. So all right, I'm gonna take back something I said. If I did a one-shot comic of this, and I would completely reframe it to be horror based, and everything's going to be dark and scary, and everything's going to be just morbid, then I can see that goat scene being terrifying. But when you have a goat go, man, that just kills the illusion. Like, it has to be a comic for it to work, I think. And drawing like
I think you play it for comedy, and it works better than horror, honestly.
Oh yeah, I thought
Yeah.
they were trying to play it as comedy, kind of.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it still works as a comic. If you play that scene for comedy, I think it probably works better than.
Right.
Yeah, if you retool the story so it's more of a horror story.
Yeah, lose the rocket, lose the farm shit.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting stuff you could do with like giant genetically modified animals and stuff that could be pretty creepy. And yeah, having a black goat walk its way into police headquarters unannounced could be pretty creepy. But I think it probably works better as a comedy than it does.
Drawing a goat's
serious horror.
Like, you ever look into the eyes of a goat? It is really unsettling with their horizontal.
Not regularly.
Pupils. I mean, every morning for me, man. Every morning. No. Yeah, no. When people think of goat as the sign of the devil because the head is like a inverted pentagram, I think no. The devilish thing isn't the shape of the goat's head; it's the fucking eyeballs for me.
Yeah, and that they can scream like humans sometimes.
And
That's
say,
weird.
"Batman." Yeah. But when you know that they can faint at the drop of a hat, it does make you feel better.
That's
it's like
true,
if these things try to overrun the earth, we know we can still scare them into fainting, whatever. Is that all goats or just that like one type of breed?
I think it's a specific type of goat.
All right. So we do have a lot to be worried about then if the zombie goats do attack.
Can you scare a zombie goat into the point where it would faint and you could run away? That's a good question.
Yeah, I know.
That's
it's something
very
we're
chicken
all
and the egg
thinking
type
about.
question. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Put it in a Zack Snyder movie, and I'm sure you'll like it, Clay.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to get into that. Again, I enjoy fun. Sean does not enjoy fun.
I have a. We're talking about the what is it? City of the Dead.
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. Yeah, I don't have the. If something's too goofy, I just switch off. I can't enjoy kung fu movies if they're too silly. Like, I just don't have it in me to just go with it like Clay does. And I do respect that you can do that. But yeah, for me, that violated my sense of how far I'm willing to go in like 10 minutes.
That's fine.
Do you like Kung Fury?
I'm on the fence with Kung Fury. It's fine. I don't love it.
Yeah, I only got 10 minutes. I know our friend Joe, who listens to this, loves it. It's like his favorite fucking thing. And I think they're doing a sequel with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I think he shows up at some point, yeah.
Okay.
That's something there. It's like I feel like the sequel is like 5 years too late on that one, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
That was a very specific moment in time. It felt like when Kung Fury was all the rage. I don't know if I don't know if they can recreate that, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're right. Because that hit with synthwave, and you and I and all of our friends were like right at the cusp of synthwave being a thing. And I remember when Kung Fury came, it already felt a little old to me, and that was all 5 years ago. Yeah,
and there's that kind of thing can go too far for me, where it just gets into too much silly for the sake of being silly.
Oh, you don't like fun, Clay? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I like a good amount of fun that still is regulated. I like regulated fun.
Yeah.
But no, there's a certain point where people that do like it.
There's nothing
I
about
don't give
Zack
a shit.
Snyder's movie that is regulated. I'm sorry. His movies are all about breaking regulations and breaking boundaries. That's why he's such a genius.
Every one of his movies after Dawn of the Dead is him going, you know what would be cool, and then they do it. And sometimes it works. I think in Army of the Dead, it works for the most part. That movie should have been like a half an hour shorter because it's incredibly long. But I don't think that works so much in like Batman and Superman. I think Army of the Dead, you can throw a lot of stuff at the wall and get away with it more than you can some of that other stuff. But
oh man, can we talk about conventions and stuff? Do we have to?
Sure.
Can we stop talking about this horrible episode?
Sure. What do you want? You said you're going to rate this a 1?
Yeah. Sorry. It's gonna.
Yeah.
Be there's not even much I can salvage with this fucking episode. You know.
Yeah. I'll probably do the same. Yeah.
I don't want to draw that farmer. I don't want to draw a farm. I don't like the concept. I don't like drawing big monster animals because I don't like fun. Like, there really isn't anything. It even has the fucking jetpack in it. Like, I don't even like that, you know?
Yes, right.
So it's funny. There's this conversation on social media lately, and I'm off Twitter, so I don't really have a platform to fire back, which is probably a good thing. But, I have this, so I was curious to get your thoughts about it. My friend Perch of a great podcast I like called Comics with Perch. If you just, look at that on YouTube and find in the last week he did one about bar con, like BAR, like drinking, a bar. And bar con is just slang for you finish up a convention and you all go to the bar after. And it's like, it's not that clever. I don't know who invented it. And the conversation is, there's a lot of things happening. One is, do comic creators have drinking problem, and do they get too sloshed and act too unprofessional at these events? 2 is, does that lead to problems and sexual harassment? Is that super unhealthy for a lot of reasons? 3, do deals actually get done? In other words, do you have to go to the bar con or to the bar after everything? And if you go, what should be the limit? What should be the rules? And then another conversation about, like, should we have just a mixer that doesn't have any alcohol? Would that be a better thing? And there's kind of a lot circling that whole conversation right now. But what stood out to me was there's a lot more tit for tat going on in comics than I assumed. And what I mean, without splitting hairs, is without holding back, is editors or people who can get you jobs saying, if you sleep with me, I will get you work. Like, that stuff happens. And I always assumed in this industry that stuff probably happened a little bit, but I didn't know. It seems to be a lot more blatant now than I ever imagined. I don't know what your opinion is on this stuff. Yeah.
I have never come across that personally. I've never been propositioned, I can tell you that much.
Well, it's mostly men who are.
Frankly, I'm a little insulted.
Obviously, it's mostly a problem with men hitting on female creators. It does happen in the other direction. Like, I've been hit on by female women in power, and I usually just don't say anything because, it's just something that men usually just keep to themselves, honestly. And maybe that's worth reconsidering. But I know it happens the other way, but usually it's not. Usually it's a gross dude hitting on a chick and saying or implying that I'll get you work. And I don't know if it's like, that flat out propositioning somebody, but the implied tit for tat is certainly there. And I feel like comics is realizing that this goes on a lot more at these shows than we're comfortable with.
Sure.
Like, I've always assumed that was a thing that happened at any show or any convention, like not just comics, but, video game shows, car shows, boat shows. You get a bunch of adults, you get them on airplanes, and they're all going, 3-hour time zone shifts, so they're exhausted, and they get plastered, and they get a hotel room, and everyone's in the same hotel. I mean, adults are going to fraternize, and I don't doubt a lot of this stuff happens in other industries. But with comics, because we're so social media, because we pay attention to this stuff so much, and we're so quick to try to get each other and cancel each other, and I know a lot of my liberal friends would love to end all this bad behavior, and of course I do too. I just feel like comics does a worse job at handling it, especially because there's no HR department that really seems to sort this out.
Right.
Like, if you go to going to a bar, networking is obviously a thing in any industry. And you can, slip someone your card and say, I'll try to get you a job. But eventually that person's going to have to call HR, and HR is going to have to go, okay, well, let's see what the background is. Is this person qualified? Is this worth hiring this person? What's the record here? And that's what sorts out the riffraff in other industries from people getting into positions that they don't deserve, sexual favors or not. And in comics, that doesn't exist because everyone at BarCon, most people there are freelancers. So you
Right.
don't have HR in the same way. And there's really nothing, there's no point that I'm getting to. I'm just sort of venting or just talking about the thing that's happening out there right now. And I can't decide if I'm surprised or if I completely saw this coming and was completely aware of it all these years, in a way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think as comics have become more of a mainstream, like they've been pretty insular until the last, I don't know, 20 years or so. Like they've been around forever. I mean, obviously they were huge in the 90s, but it wasn't as it was still kind of like a cut-off industry for outsiders back then.
Yeah.
And that's not me going any way towards justifying any of this stuff. But what it is me saying is the industry has to grow up.
Yeah.
People did a lot of dopey stuff. People still do a lot of dopey stuff, but it's a profession. You have to act professional. You know, you have to. And I think comics is a little bit behind with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And when it comes to after show drinking at bars and stuff, I think that's part of it too. I mean, 20 years ago, it was just a bunch of guys who like to draw comics getting shit-faced at the bar, but now it's like people expect you got to talk to people. There's people, you don't want to make a fool out of yourself, or hopefully.
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of professionalism that needs to come along with that, where you need to ideally you're still on to a certain extent. You know what I mean? You can still hang out with your friends, but there's got to be a level of professionalism that still exists. I don't think anyone that says you need to go to the bar to get a job, I think, is full of shit. If going there and meeting people, sure. Like I've met a few different editors, and you go to a couple conventions, you see them a couple times, and go, oh yeah, you get stuck in their mind or whatever, and then you email them later or something. I've definitely never brought in my portfolio to a bar, and I never would.
Yeah, never do that.
But honestly, that being said, even if somebody does that, it's on the person who they're talking to be professional about it. You know what I mean? Either shift it away or just be professional about the whole interaction.
I always told anyone younger or anyone anyone who would listen, you should go to the bar. You don't have to drink at all. And if you're a woman, bring a friend. Be careful, of course. And definitely have your eyes open. But face-to-face time and making contacts and following up with the network and this convention circuit is super important. You're better off going to these events and meeting people. You don't have to drink. In fact, in the podcast, Perch mentions, and I agree, if you show up and everyone's sloshed, then just get out of there, because no one's going to remember you anyway,
Right.
But for the first half of the night, drink slowly, be careful, drink water, have something to eat, whatever, before you go. But yeah, I think a lot of these conventions quickly turn into debauchery, and like I've seen guys grab girls, throw them over their shoulders, and people hook up. I mean, I'm all for consenting adults, honestly. Like, I'm not trying to attack anyone that wants to get sexual. It's your life, your business. If you have an open marriage, fine, have at it. I don't care, But you should expect a certain amount of blowback, given the culture of trying to sort out bad behavior and sexual harassment. Like, you run the risk of doing that, especially if you're on uneven ground. Like, I know creators who will date girls in their line, like girls who are waiting to get autographs. It's like the men get into this idea of like, oh, these women are just going to line up for me, and I'm going to sort of flirt with all of them, and maybe I'll get a few numbers, and maybe I'll meet them at the bar later. Like, they do that with their customers.
Sure.
And it's like, man, that's so like, I'm not saying some of these women want to. Sure. Back in the 80s, you had all these metal hair bands, and they did all kinds of crazy shit that I cannot believe there aren't more Me Too accusations directed at like Poison or Motley Crue, honestly. Like, the girls that lined up in the 80s seem to be down with this, from my horrible understanding of that culture. But in comics especially, like, that shit will get you into trouble big time. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, you shouldn't be not doing it because you don't want to get caught. You should be not doing it because you want to be a professional. You know what I mean? There's a difference.
Yeah.
Just have a better sense of what the crowd is that you're in and how you should probably act towards them. Goes a long way.
Yeah.
I saw someone mentioning something about the idea of alcohol-free networking stuff at conventions, which I think is a really good idea. I think that could be great. The only thing that I worry about there is that it very quickly could turn into another exclusive event that you need like tickets to, or you need like an in for or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So which I don't know. I guess you got to draw the line somewhere. But like a pre-show breakfast thing at a convention is not the worst idea versus getting hammered at a, because at least that way, like you go to something in the morning, right? If let's say, even if it's something for people who have tables, right? Anybody who's tabling at the thing can go to this breakfast thing or whatever. Unfortunately, I don't think most people are going to show up early in the morning before a show.
They're hungover because they got
ripped
the night before.
But let's say ideally that people do show up and there are editors there, because there will be some people there. Sure, I mean, not everybody's going out and getting hammered. I mean, that way you can talk to people, and then later in the day they swing by. They can actually see your stuff. You can talk to them again. There's context instead of just like, oh yeah, your name is Shorn?
Yeah.
Is that a name? Is it Shorn? Shorn Murphy? You know what I mean? Like it's there's more. I can see that being a better opportunity to like actually talk to people and actually do some real networking instead of just hanging out. But
anyone who talks about doing a mixer that's alcohol free after a show, I'm sorry, but like very few people are going to show up to that. I'm not going to go.
Sure.
I'm going to go to the fucking bar because I know how to drink carefully, and for the most part, and not act like an asshole and get into trouble.
I don't know. I know a skateboard that would disagree with that.
Fuck, that was in a comic book shop. That was different. I'll tell that story. There isn't even a story to tell. I'll just reference that some other time.
Yeah.
And I honestly, even if you go to an event like that, I imagine you would just be checking your watch, thinking like, where are we going to drink after this?
Yeah. Well, that's why I think if you're going to do that, it would be more interesting to do in the morning, where maybe like people could get breakfast or something. So,
I think your breakfast idea actually is pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah.
I like your breakfast idea. It's one way to pull that off, and to have like Marvel or DC sponsor it, and there'll be like pro tips there and like reasons for us to congregate in a mature way instead of getting sloshed afterwards.
Yeah. Something that's a little bit, has less of an edge to it.
Yeah.
But
it's funny in the it shows those things. Because when someone gets really schmoozy and really obvious about networking, like there's people that I see coming towards me and I'm like, oh great, not this guy. He's a close talker, or he's going to interrupt, or he's super awkward, or like I have a list in my head that I couldn't even tell you the names on, honestly. But when I see their faces, I'm always like, I stiffen up. And it turns out that the people that I avoid at shows, everyone else has avoided as well. To the point where people are like literally like ducking under tables and hiding in bushes and stuff like that. And it's funny because there's like a handful of names, like really desperate writers who have published a few things in the indies, but think that they still think that they're gonna get into the mainstream, and they have no idea that Marvel and DC are aware of them and they're not gonna get hired. They don't know that the editors all know them, and they try to avoid running into them if they can. And I kind of feel bad for these people with horrible social skills, and I almost wonder, like, shouldn't somebody tell them, like, I don't want to do it, but shouldn't somebody say, like, listen, I work for Marvel. We all know you at the office, man. None of us want to hire you. You're doing these things wrong. You're annoying people on Twitter. You think you're talented. You're not. Like, obviously I would word it differently, but like I almost want these people to know, like, because they're just gonna keep doing the shit that they're doing, and it's never gonna get any better. Like, wouldn't it help them to let them know that everybody hates them?
I don't know if that generally works that way. Usually it makes people double down.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
I don't know.
The Twitter warfare after, telling somebody that would be epic.
Yeah, if you had a story coming out of a convention that a Marvel editor told you that you suck and we're never going to hire you, that would get around pretty quick. Before they could explain themselves and be like, no, we weren't trying to be mean.
Yeah,
we were just being truthful. This person's terrible. Like that's how do you can't really spin that. But yeah, I think basically to sum it up, there's a level of growing up that the industry still needs to do. And not everybody's a monster, but there's.
I think we're talking about 10%. I think there's maybe 5% of people at shows that are just mean and evil and trying to be dicks. I think 30% are not careful and have too much to drink and then start acting like dicks or start acting annoying. I think more than half of everybody is totally fine and awesome, and they're just normal people. Like, I don't mean to, shade the whole industry or color everybody with the same marker here,
Yeah. Yeah, and those things, I don't love that stuff. Like I like going to the bar and getting a drink or something, but like those things can be just overwhelming. Like out in Emerald City in Seattle, they basically the whole first floor of the hotel turns into like a giant bar, and it's so loud.
Yeah.
And there's so many people, and it's like you couldn't network there if someone paid you to do it. It's just it's not my scene. But I don't mind hanging out. Like when we're in New York, they have those smaller bars that you can kind of like find a corner of and hang out.
Yeah.
Those places are cool.
Yeah.
But.
I do have a part of me. I'm with you, Clay. But part of me does want to know what the drama is because I want to laugh at it. Like, I want to know what the car accident. Where are the car accidents? Who's doing something? Because there's always some fucking drama going on. And as much as you think you've seen it all, you would not believe the new stories that we managed to come up with at bars. When I go to a bar like that, like Seattle, like I'll just sit in a good place where I can kind of see everybody, and I'll just sort of read people, and I'll notice who's getting annoyed with who, and which clique is getting more catty, and who's getting more drunk or whatever. Who's avoiding who. Like, I just can't help but it's very fickle of me, but I just can't help but get interested in it as long as I'm not involved in it. I'm just I'm just a fan.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key.
Yeah, if the drama involves me, I'm not interested, but I like to watch from the sideline.
Anyway, I think we've spent an hour talking about. We've recorded for an hour. We spent about 10 minutes, I think, talking about both these episodes, which speaks to their quality, I suppose. But I think that's it for Mean Seasons and Critters. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you got some interesting tidbits about the underbelly, the bar-going underbelly of the post. I never understood how people have the energy to do that. Like, when I get done with a convention, I just want to like have dinner and go to bed. It takes a lot of energy for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna go hang out for another 3 hours or whatever.
You and our friends are a low drama clique. We just gravitate to people that we love art, we like to drink, we don't mind getting a little tipsy, honestly. But I don't like it when I'm with a buddy and he starts talking to a girl who I don't know, because I have to worry, like, do I need to step in? He's fine, but like that doesn't happen very often either. Like, we just have a group of friends that we watch the drama from a side. We don't usually get involved with drama, and we generally run a pretty tight ship with our friend group. We're not egomaniacs. We're not jealous of each other. We're genuinely happy for each other when we have success, and that's kind of rare, honestly, to not get jealous of somebody that has something you don't. But the people I surround myself with tend to be pretty normal, which I'm pretty proud of. You're probably the same way, right? Yeah.
That's more my style. Yeah. And I understand what you're saying. You're just going there so you can find out which actress is secretly getting a hand job at the bar.
Finger blasted, Clay. There's a name for it.
It's the same thing.
I just
All
assume
right,
a
guys.
hand job is for men. Sorry. All right, we'll end on that note. There's your pull quote.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back next time. We're coming up on the second half. We only got a few more episodes left. Amazingly, it's a short season. And then I don't know. I guess we're going to Batman Beyond after that, which should be fun. But
Excited.
next time we'll be back. We're staying in the animal world. We've got Cult of the Cat and Animal Act coming up next time. So we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.
Let the good times roll.